Hey everybody, we are talking indie agency news preferred partners. These are folks that completely get what you're going through as an independent agency. So let's talk about contracts. Without the right language in your service agreements or statements of work, you're leaving the door open to, oh boy, scope creep, payment disputes, and excessive IP risks, among other things. Matchstick Legal, one of our preferred partners, offers a free report card analysis where they review and rate your MSA and SOW against more than 50 criteria. Find out if you're getting an A+ or need improvement at matchstick.legal and see all of our partners at indieagency.partners.
All right, and welcome to another episode of Meet an Indie Agency. Today, we're headed up the Long Island Sound to Connecticut to talk with Heartlent Group with Jonah, Keith, and Elliot. Thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Pleasure. So, all right. How long has Heartlent Group been around?
We started. We're COVID baby. We started in summer of 2020.
Nice. And how many of there are you?
It's the three of us. I think in 2020 we had this novel concept of a collective approach, which has since become less novel. But it's the three of us as founders and partners, and then we augment the team based on the brief with people we've known in our careers for the last 20-something years.
All right. Well, let's get down to it. What is Heartlent Group best known for?
I'll jump in there. I think it's going to sound vague and big as far as creative content. I think that's what we're best known for. Our ability to not only develop and build creative content that works across all social media digital platforms, but again, in campaigns, also in video production work that you can see in commercial spots, but really answering briefs in a unique way where we really truly find the best creative solution in a marketing capacity. And I think the thing that we're best known for is working in a collaborative way with our clients. And because of our experience, 20 years of being in this industry and having the expertise, we're able to answer the briefs in a quick and efficient way that we felt there was a need for in the marketplace when we started 5 years ago. And I think that is what we've really built and accomplished great success so far in the 5 years.
Nice.
And then just to jump in there,
go ahead.
Actually a phrase that Jonah coined with our help was, when the moment matters most. And I think that encapsulates who we are as individuals and as an agency, because we've all worked in sports for a while now. And so we understand, one, the intensity of how quick turnarounds are in sports, but at the same time, understand, how important it is when a player wins a big award or a player breaks a record or, a team wins the Super Bowl or whatever. And we've done all of those moments. In fact, for the most part, our projects are all-star campaigns, playoff campaigns, MVP celebrations. We also create trophies for the NFLPA. So any time that there's a big moment for a brand or team or league, we are there, and we've been there, all the way through since we started Heartland.
Gotcha. So I imagine one of these top three core strengths is going to be sports, but what would you say are the top three core strengths of Heartland?
Yeah, it's definitely sports. I think it's interesting because we've all known each other for a long time. And I think in the last 10 years have been fortunate enough to finally work together. But we've seen pretty much every angle of the sports side, team side, league side, worked with players, worked at agencies, worked at sports marketing agencies, experiential. So deeply rooted in sports. And I think we found that as much as we try to broaden that tree, if you will, we go back to the trunk of sports, and that's where we get those briefs and those calls. So that's definitely one of them for sure.
Gotcha. Either of you'd like to add any other core strengths?
Our flexibility in terms of whether we can take on a really large campaign to needing to just be focused on like a small group. But what makes this different is that we're all, leadership level people that get involved in the project, whether it's large or small. So you're getting that expertise from people that have been in the industry a long time, but also have unique skill sets that elevate any creative or any production project that we work on.
Sure.
And I think
go ahead.
Third core strength is solving problems, which I think sometimes is overlooked in marketing because of all the vanity elements of marketing and the things we do. We're certainly proud of. I mean, what's behind Eliot right now and the creative is beautiful. We develop tremendous creative content that stands out in the feeds and on camera, but solving problems at the core of it. And especially now when we have an oversaturated market, everybody's fighting for attention, and this is not meant in a negative way. We rarely actually get fully fledged briefs. Like, we get a problem and we figure out the best way to solve that through it could be a tight budget. It could be limited resources. It could be a variety of factors, but at the core of it, we've really tried to strategize with our clients on how to best solve those problems. And those are business solutions that they can then take to their bosses. So I think sometimes that gets overlooked. And if I had to put that in my hierarchy of 3 things that we achieve on a day-to-day basis, I would definitely put that at the top.
Nice.
Basically, we're marketing plumbers is what it is.
There you go.
I love it. I'd love to see what a marketing plunger looks like. So you kind of hinted at that. So let's jump to why brands should work with you. You obviously, those core strengths are some of the reasons, but what's another reason that a brand should want to work with you?
Definitely, if it's a sports brief. I mean, if they're looking for, we had an agency reach out to us because the brief was dealing with athletes, and they knew during COVID, they knew that we couldn't film in person, so it would have to be remote. So they came to us knowing that we can, really build a rapport with athletes quickly. That's one of Jonah's superpowers, coming from the team and his media background, and able to really make them feel comfortable. We were setting up their background on Zoom that would be conducive for the shoot, and the entire thing was handled remotely. So that's one example of just in the market, people understanding our deep sports and athlete experience. And so a lot, as we've been talking, a lot of briefs as they relate to sports, that's why people come our way and certainly want to communicate with us and give us their business.
Sure. So you've worked with a lot of brands, obviously a lot of sports brands, but a lot of brands probably that pertain to those sports brands. What have you learned from those brands that you've worked with over the years?
It's a great question. I think what's really fascinating right now, as we're on the topic of sports, is sort of adjacent content, companies that want to get involved. If you look at Super Bowl, and it's $1 billion weekend around Super Bowl, NBA All-Star weekend, all these brands want to get involved with the athletes, want to get involved with these big live events. I mean, we're talking about AI and everything going on there, but these are true live events that will continue to produce mass fan attendance, will produce enormous opportunities for financial opportunities for these brands. So what we've learned most is that where these brands want to sit, how do they fit in, how do they get involved in an organic, natural way with either the athletes or the events or the leagues or the teams. And again, back to our experience of working on the team side with the Timberwolves and the Knicks, and then working on the client side or the agency side, where we can answer those briefs as far as creatives and strategists and production leads. So what we've learned is there's a heavy need on finding what is the way that they can show up in these unique places. And again, that's a big advantage that we have, because it's not going to be your standard answer for every single client. You're going to have to find a custom solution that works for them. And there could be ways in which you do it that might not be as obvious from the onset of a brief or a partnership. And digging deep into how do you reach fans in an organic way where your brand shows up, I think has been a really interesting continued development. I wouldn't say it just started, but it's definitely getting bigger and bigger with sports and these events. So it's been very fun to learn from our clients and brands that we receive these briefs from about, okay, how do we solve this problem? How do we make a business decision to get involved? One was, with Under Armour, a project that we had with Joel Embiid as the MVP, and he was a player that was repped by Under Armour. They knew they couldn't get him necessarily to sit down or produce a commercial because obviously they didn't know he was going to be the MVP, but we needed to get ahead of something as far as a creative piece to announce that moment, because you only have that moment in sports to take advantage of that. And so we were able to build out a fully illustrated animated piece ahead of time without having Joel spend time in a production studio with, hundreds of people on set. And it was able to be quickly deployed, and it was a smashing hit for Under Armour. So those are the types of things that we've received from brands that we continue to look at.
Sweet. Let's get to the indie portion of this. Since you're independent and have been for the last 5 years, going on 6 now, why is it important to be an independent and to stay independent?
I've really appreciated the ability to control the work and the decisions. I've learned saying no is a true superpower. I think early on, and we were guilty of it too, you say yes to everything. You're trying to build the business, but it's really important. And we were able to make decisions and shift. And, Elliot mentioned our mantra or tagline of when the moment matters. It was us formulating that and putting it into action and trademarking it and getting on the website. I mean, we can just move quickly coming from large holding companies where you just know those decisions happen after countless emails and decisions and meetings. And it's just the speed of being an indie is just unparalleled. And I've really appreciated that.
Yeah. And I think that we're able to control the narrative and the strategy in a way that you can't when you're at a large agency. I think a lot of times when clients come to an indie shop, they're not, I mean, we get some briefs where they're very specific and they need this, and we solve that brief. But I think a lot of times when you're at a larger agency, there's a specific need that they want from that agency, and they're on retainer, so they're going to throw these things at you. And like, yes, you get to be creative, but it's not in the same way. There's not the same control that you have as an indie agency, and I think there's different expectations from those brands, and I think they're more fun expectations than when you're at a larger agency, and obviously not having to deal with all the red tape and all that. So I think that's something that's made our lives and jobs more fun since we started this, beyond working at a large agency.
I think there's 2 major components to this. One is the ability to also expand our talent roster. So we do have, obviously, our head of creative, Elliot, who's mastermind behind a lot of the artwork and the creative that you see. But we also have the ability, there's a lot of talented people out there that we can bring in for a specific brief. They have a specific talent. And it's so freeing to understand that we can move, again, kind of what we've all talked about before is this speed, right? To go acquire and get that talent, bring them into a project, and then see it flourish under our direction and under our strategy. And a client might not have been thinking that way for the creative. So that's one component. And then being able to eliminate the bloat in between. My career was not agency life. My first agency job came after working for the NBA teams with these guys. And it was a bit eye-opening to see how many people were involved in the process. We cut out the bloat. You're talking to the 3 people who are going to be your project manager, who is going to oversee the project, who's working on the strategy, and most likely will be either doing the creative or executing or overseeing the creative. So just eliminating that bloat so that we have a direct relationship with our client. There's no hidden fees. It's exactly what you're going to get. And that is just, to me, a much cleaner way of operating. And I think it's going to be the way we see agencies work with their clients moving forward. It's going to be, if they're bigger, they're going to have to figure out a way to be more efficient like we are, or these indie agencies, which we've seen obviously on the site, are thriving. And it feels really good to be able to just streamline the approach, the intent, and the pricing, the budgets. All those things are pretty transparent upfront, and that's been a big key for us.
I think it's, you know, like going to a really good steakhouse that's not part of a chain. You're going to get, rather than going to I don't know, not a fast food chain, but whatever, going to a chain restaurant, you're going to get the same thing. When you're going to a smaller, shop, you're going to get really good filet mignon. So,
right. No, that's true. And obviously it probably, your clients are probably looking to it, because it sounds like you've worked with both agencies and brands directly. So does being independent kind of allow you to jump between those? And is that important to your clients?
I definitely think so. I think the trust that we've built, it's allowed us to work on their business with such a focus that having a retainer and having your hours scoped every month, and you can only spend 10 hours on this client because you have to move to another one. It's just, we don't work that way. So it's allowed us to stay close to the decisions, the clients that we work with, and really allows them to feel that we're working as an extension of their team and working on their business, rather than just 10 or 20% scope because you're at a certain level. And that's how they've come to be accustomed to agency model. And I think ours, and many like ours, has been drastically different, and they've welcomed it and received it so positively.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to team up with other agencies. We've done several projects. Again, if they have a PR, a public relations sort of discipline or experiential, for us to come as experts in creative production, and having that strategy lens and come together, and instead of, again, a big holding company, or we would be forced either to work with or not to work with another agency, it just opened the doors. And again, I keep hammering this, I think it's going to be the way of the world in terms of how these agencies can work together. And we certainly want to do more of it. Strip ego, strip everything outside of, our company needs to be the front and center of it. We'll often work white labeled, right? Like, we don't care. It's more about, again, back to that, solving the problems and then collectively doing the work we want to do. I mean, that's kind of as basic as it needs to be. But I think the intention for us is to do more work with agencies. I think there's a really big opportunity, especially indie agencies that have a core discipline that we necessarily don't do. So let's play to our strengths and double down on those strengths, as opposed to, well, yeah, we also do this, but we don't really do that. So I think that's been an exciting part of this as well.
Yeah. Well, talent, there's the three of you, and then you have freelance talent that you work with. So instead of talking about the talent that you have, because you're at founder level, let's talk about the why you would work with other freelancers and what you're looking for in those freelancers.
I think there's a level of trust that we've built with some of our best talents. It's not just about talent. It's about how you communicate with us, how you execute. Like, we have a high standard, of our expectations in being a professional. There are artists that are incredibly talented, and in certain situations, maybe with a large agency, it's easier to work with them. But like, when we're working with people, we want to be able to know, like, they've got this. And we have built such tight relationships with a lot of these creatives and producers and cameramen, et cetera, where we know that they're reliable and they will get the job done, because that's what we do, and that's what we expect the people we work with to do.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. It goes back to very basic principles. When we work with freelancers, we just want to have responsiveness, be on time, land the work that we're asking for. And those are sort of I would say somewhat of the demands that we're looking for. On the other flip side of that too, working with creatives in a freelance capacity, we're not looking just for hired hands. We're looking for people who are true experts in their field. And, when we go look, and I bring on a DP for a commercial spot that we shoot, him and I work together in a collaborative way. And maybe I take a step back from being a director to a producer, and I say, I want you to lead this, but we work together, and he's pointing out things that we should or shouldn't do, or things that he thinks would work better in this spot, and then I'm adding it in. So it's never just a hired hand. Here's your thing, go away, come back to us in a week with the work. And I think that is an essential part of this. We're looking for leaders too in their respective fields. And when they come to the table, we're going to collaborate with them and give them a seat at the table too, because we're not trying to, again, strip ego away just because the titles are technically founder and head of C-suite sort of titles. We're looking to collaborate and find the best way possible. And that's been the most successful relationships that we've had, is when creatives and, DPs, video production folks come to the table with some ideas or thoughts. But most important, and we can't hammer this enough in this day and age, is just being responsive and overly communicating, because we understand people are doing many different things. But as soon as that trust sort of evaporates, we lose that ability to then go back to that person and say, we want to work with you again. So Eliot's exactly right. We have a high standard that we hold ourselves accountable to, and we hope that freelancers we bring on to any project would do the same.
And I think the giving them the ability to, spread their wings with us is why we've built like some really strong relationships with people, because they know we're not going to treat them like, a cog in the machine, because we expect ourselves to not be a cog in the machine. So we want everyone who works with us to feel the same way.
Good deal. All right, let's have a little fun, even though we have been having fun, but let's have even more fun with a block we like to call Weirdos, Misfits, or Underdogs. Would you say you are Weirdos, Misfits, or Underdogs, or perhaps a combination thereof?
All of the above.
Yeah. Definitely. They definitely think
kind of have to be in this business that we're in. I mean, some of the ideas that we're all on a group thread texting each other, and we have ideas that we send each other, is this dumb? Is this cool? Is this not? You kind of have to strip away any fear of rejection, and especially when you're an indie agency and the three of us working as closely as we do together. But I think the Misfits part of it, we're trying to disrupt. We're trying to say, like, why do it that way, right? I won't go into the clients and what we've done to get their business in terms of saying, hey, there's a better way, a more polished, a bigger, cohesive way to do this. So yeah, we're going to be disruptive. We think we should be doing every creative work out there. Like, that's just the belief that we have in each other and our company. So the Weirdos part, I'd leave that to Eliot to answer that one.
They definitely think I'm a weirdo. No, I think that it's funny. We started this sort of. We did a podcast called "We Need to Be Doing That," and that was a phrase that I always said in meetings. We were like, "We need to be doing that," and I think that energy that we had in that podcast, and we might bring it back for a second season, but we got 80 episodes in or something like that. But like that started the spark to create this. And I think we talked to a lot of people that I wouldn't say to their face that they're weirdos but a lot of underdogs and a lot of people that have the similar, story to us, or, we're building up that way. So to me, I think understanding that world and what we did with the podcast actually helped us grow to what we are now.
Excellent.
We just brought a 3-foot produced oversized microphone to Super Bowl for part of our client work. So I would say that was weird, but I would also say, oh, he's got it. I would say it was weird, but it was also quite fun. Got a lot of reaction.
So you're saying, are we weirdos?
Okay. All right. That's a really big microphone. Looks like.
Keith, you should have been talking into that microphone the whole time.
Yeah. Why
Jonah should have brought it out for this. You're right.
That is tremendous. That is the biggest SM58 I've ever seen. So
and Underdogs too is a very empowering thing, and I don't think most people think of it that way. But certainly when we started this, we came from a monster agency, and it was an underdog feeling every single day, especially in the middle of COVID with so much uncertainty. I don't think that goes away. I won't speak for Keith or Elliot. I don't think that goes away. It fuels us, but we're not trying to just have a nice little shop. Like, we want to do the biggest, campaigns, the biggest projects possible. So we're not afraid of doing them for the biggest clients as well and going up against those big agencies. So that underdog feeling, I think, is in a serious way very important and a part of who we are.
Yeah, I think you need it. I think you need it as an indie agency. You need to feel like an underdog. I wouldn't say a chip on your shoulder, but that feeling of like, we've got to fight. We got to fight and continue to do that in a positive way.
No, I think it's great. All right, now's your chance to call somebody out. Perhaps a CMO, a marketer, somebody you even have wanted to work with or have worked with, or anyone. Now's your chance to go out there and say who that might be.
Who's on your wish list, Elliot?
You're putting me on the spot.
We want to talk to a streamer. We want to get our content on a streaming platform, and we've had a few things in motion. A few things have fallen a little bit short, but I think that would be one of our North Star projects at the moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, to work. I think that's a good thing. To work with a Netflix or to work with an agency, or Prime or something. And we have talked to or Disney Plus and things like that. We have talked to a lot of those streamers, and I actually worked in the streaming field the sports streaming field for a little bit. So to develop creative for any of those would be a big win and something that we look forward to.
Great.
And I think for me, it's like, I'll use an example, but it doesn't have to be exact. Is Liquid Death is brands that have taken some risks. We think our approach to creative and disruption, we talked about a little bit earlier, of doing things outside the box. It'd be a fun pairing to work with a brand that's willing to take that risk and is built basically on that risk, right? Yeah. So, I know Red Bull has been around forever and they've already done amazing things, but it would be fun to join forces and kind of get to see how they think and how they approach it and combine that with our thoughts and ideas. And it would be a freeing sort of opportunity that I would certainly welcome.
Excellent. Guys, well, Jonah, Elliot, Keith, thank you so much for talking to me. If people want to get in touch with you, right here, where can they go?
Heartlent.com. Heartlent was a name we built out of heart and talent coming together.
Nice.
We believe the fundamentals of our business and the people we are and the people we want to work with. So Heartlent.com is where you can find us.
And Heartlent Group on social. So Instagram, Heartlent Group, LinkedIn, and we'll say X, but
yeah, we'll say X, but
we'll say X.
We all know it's
Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So it's spelled like heart and an L-E-N-T for talent. So
excellent. Excellent. Well, it's great talking to you guys. Thanks for letting us get to know you, and thanks for everybody that's tuned into Meet an Indie Agency. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.